everybody, Mike Iaconelli here. Welcome to a brand new edition of In the Shop. And we've got a really good one for you today. In today's episode, we're going to be analyzing hard bait versus soft bait. When to pick a hard lure, a hard style bait over a soft lure, a soft plastic bait. And that's a great debate because both of those lure types are amazing for bass fishing. When I look back on my last 30 years of fishing, I can think of so many big fish I've caught on hard baits and so many big ones I've caught on soft baits. And we're going to really try to pick this apart to try to help you decide when to use a hard bait over a soft bait. We're going to look at 3 different lure types that have hard versions and soft versions. And in each of these types, I'm going to give you one big factor on when to pick each one. You know my motto, I always love to talk about baits that are from the top to the bottom. So let's work it like that. Number 1, we're going to talk about a topwater. And topwater fishing is one of my favorite styles of fishing. When we're talking about hard topwaters, we have poppers, we have walking baits, we have prop baits. So many types of amazing hard lures that stay on the surface. On the other hand, when you talk about soft baits, there are so many good soft plastic topwaters as well, right? From buzzing style baits to soft frogs to soft toads like this Berkeley buzzing speed toad right here, okay? So when do you pick this hard topwater versus a soft topwater? And for my first concept on when to pick hard versus soft, I want you to think about cover. I want you to think about the types of cover that you're fishing. Let's look at it with eyes of heavy cover versus sparse to no cover. That's going to be our difference, right? In sparse to no cover. So I'm talking about open water, over a point, over a hump. There's no cover there, right? There's no physical cover on the surface. Sparse cover. Maybe there's a twig here or there, right? There's a little branch or there's isolated pieces of cover. When it's sparse to no cover, I'm going to go with that hard topwater bait, the hard topwater bait. And one of the reasons I like this hard topwater versus a soft topwater in sparse to no cover situations is I can make so much more noise and commotion with this bait. And a lot of times in topwater fishing, whether you're walking, buzzing, or popping like this popper, noise is key to attract those fish to the bait. So with sparse to no cover, I can make more noise with a hard bait versus a soft bait. The other great thing about a hard topwater versus a soft topwater in sparse to no cover is my ability to hook fish better. Most of these hard baits, whether it's a walking stick bait, a popper, a prop bait, they have 2 or 3 sets of treble hooks. Super sharp. This right here is a Rapala X-Pop. I'm sorry, a Rapala Skitter Pop. It's got super sharp VMC hooks on it. Because those hard lures have multiple sets of trebles, when that fish gets the bait, he's got a lot better chance of being hooked. Even short strikers, right? Even fish that are nipping at the bait. I'd rather nip at a lot of treble hooks with a hard lure than nip at a single hooked soft plastic lure, okay? So sparse to no cover, fishing a topwater, it's a no-brainer. I'm going with a hard bait. But now, moderate to heavy cover. Now I'm talking about you're fishing around really thick cover. You're fishing around grass, lily pads, reeds, milfoil, hydrilla. You're skipping under docks and there's cables and ropes and chains. You're fishing in a field of flooded timber or brush with logs and limbs everywhere. That hard bait with all those trebles becomes very difficult to work. You end up spending more time snagged or freeing grass and cover from the hooks than you do working the bait. And because of that, in moderate to heavy cover situations, I'm going to switch to a soft topwater. A soft topwater bait, a toad, a frog, a bait that's soft, because I can Texas rig these baits, or in the case of a frog, look at this soft frog by Mullix, right? That frog hook is weedless. It lays flat to the body of that frog. On that buzzing frog by Berkeley, I'm going to Texas rig it. So these soft plastic topwaters, a speed worm, a buzzing worm, they allow you to fish it through the cover very effectively without getting snagged. Absolutely so many big fish over the years. I put the hard bait down. I picked up the soft topwater in heavy cover situations, and it was the deal, okay? So first one, on top, sparse to no cover, go with the hard. Heavy to moderate cover, those thick cover situations, go with a soft bait, okay? Number one, talking about topwaters. Let's start going down the water column a little bit, okay? And let's go to a bait that rides in the middle of the water column. And now I'm going to give you two more scenarios of a bait that's available in a hard bait and a soft bait. Now we're going to go to a jerk bait. Everyone knows these hard jerk baits. What an amazing lure this is. This one happens to be a Rapala X-Rap. Really amazing bait from spring all the way through the fall. Terrific jerk bait. And there are soft jerk baits. And I'm going to get this one out and show this one to you. And this is the Power Jerk Shad by Berkeley, right? Look at them. Identical baits in their action, their size, the color, the shape. Look at them. They are both jerk baits. A hard jerk bait and a soft jerk bait. And when am I going to pick which one? When I'm fishing that middle of the water column, right? When am I going to pick a hard? When am I going to pick a soft jerk bait? Let's first use the same exact theory we did with the topwater. When I'm in sparse cover to open water, there's not a lot of grass or snags, without a doubt, look at that, without a doubt, that jerk bait, hard jerk bait, is a great choice. But that hard jerk bait with those hanging trebles becomes a lot less effective when you're snagging it in cover every cast. It's a great time to go to the soft jerk bait. But I want to give you two more on when to pick hard versus soft on this jerk bait style lure. The next scenario I want to give you is a really good one, and it goes to water clarity. Water clarity. And in my opinion, just like we used a 50-50 scenario with topwater, I want to do the same thing with water clarity. When that water clarity is stained to dirty, I want to use a hard jerk bait. And one of the reasons is this lure has more presence and noise to it than the soft jerk bait does, right? So if my water's stained, it's got a tint to it, all the way to dirty water, not chocolate milk dirty, but regular dirty water. That jerk bait, listen, those rattles, listen to that rattle. The rattles, that vibration, that pulse that lip puts off, in stained to dirty water, fish will be so much more attracted to a hard jerk bait versus a soft jerk bait that's subtle. But let's flip that script. Let's change the scenario. In clean to ultra clear water, and we fish a lot of that all year, right? We fish places where you could look down in 5, 10, 15 feet of water and you could see the bottom clear as day. Clear to super clean water. I like that soft jerkbait. I like the soft jerkbait. And I really like it because of that subtle nature, right? Just like a hard jerkbait that I'm jerking and I'm getting that thing to thrash, that thing's making a lot of noise. But that soft jerkbait in clear water has that same erratic motion without all that extra sound and vibration, right? It's subtle. It's just gently coming through. It's just gently coming through the water with not as much sound, not as much vibration. And in clean to super clear water, that soft jerkbait is better, right? So water clarity is yet another factor we can use to determine when to pick a hard bait versus when to pick a soft bait. It's another great factor. And on that one, we talked about something in the middle of the water column, like a jerkbait. All right, let's go to the last category. And this is another one where these baits are designed to imitate the same thing. And on this one, I'm going to go to two of my really favorite lure categories. And I'm going to talk about a soft plastic lure that you could swim, like a swim bait. This happens to be a Berkley Power Bait Grass Pig. And when I put this on a jig head or a keel weighted hook, a belly weighted hook, I can get this thing to swim from the middle of the water column to the bottom. And look at that. Imitates a bluegill, imitates a shad, right? It's a soft swimmer. But in that same category is a crankbait, right? A diving crankbait with a bill. It's also a swimmer. And depending on that bill depth, I could go from the middle of the water column all the way to the bottom. This happens to be a Rapala Brat, the deeper Brat with the deeper bill. I can get this one 4 or 5 feet. So both these lures are really designed to imitate the same thing. Look at them side by side. That could be a bluegill. That could be, for sure, be a bluegill. When do I use one over the other? Let's rehash our first two answers, and then we're going to add a third, right? Weeds, cover, thick, nasty stuff that you're fishing, that crankbait's going to get caught. Let's go with that soft jerkbait rigged on a keel weighted hook, which is Texas style. You'll be able to fish it through thick cover. Sparse to no cover, go with those treble hooks, right? Open water, letting that crankbait deflect off the bottom with all those VMC trebles. You're going to get a great hookup percentage. So number one is cover. Number two, just like we talked about with the jerkbait, water clarity. When I get in that stained, dirty water, look at that. Listen to that. That brat with the rattles and the hooks hitting off the bait and that big bill causing ruckus and making vibration. When that water's stained to dirty, give me a hard bait. I want a crankbait to make that extra noise, to make that extra deflection in that dirty water. But if the water's clean, just like in the jerkbait, right? Give me that soft swimmer. Any day of the week, give me that soft swimmer. Has a vibration and a tail wiggle and a roll, but 100 times more subtle than a billed crankbait. I can put it on a jig head. I could put it on a keel weighted hook, and it allows me in clear water to have a more natural, subtle presentation. And those fishing clean water, notice something that looks super natural versus something that's a little more gaudy and noisy, okay? So water clarity again, right? So cover, water clarity, and last but not least, and I saved this one especially for this category, is the way the fish are biting the lure. The way the fish are biting the lure. And over the years, I've used this with a lot of success in tournaments, and it transfers to any time you're fishing. And when fish are biting, when fish are aggressive and they're feeding, right? Early in the morning, late at night, right before a front, cloudy, windy, when fish are aggressively feeding, I want a hard lure. And the reasons are simple. They're aggressive, they're attacking, they're striking. With a hard lure, I can power fish it a lot more effectively than a soft lure. I can cover more water, I can reel it faster, I can bang off stuff, topwater, jerkbait, crankbait. Those hard lures, when fish are biting, it's a way better choice. And once again, when they hit it aggressively and they're eating, they're chasing, look at all those trebles dangling there to get those fish hooked. But the opposite is true when fish are not biting aggressively, right? When fish aren't feeding, they're not active, they're neutral, they're turned off, cold front conditions, lots of fishing pressure, a million dudes out there fishing, fish that are finicky, fish that don't want to eat, they're not hungry, right? They're just bumping a lure. They barely want to touch the hard lures. They're just nipping at it. When fish are less aggressive, more neutral, I'd rather have that soft bait 100% of the time. And your ability to slow this down. Right now the fish aren't biting good. Now you're going to slow it down, kill it, right? I can kill this grass pig. Look, and it will subtly sink to the bottom. It'll almost shake to the bottom. I can't do that with a hard lure. I can let this lure fall to the bottom and lay motionless on the bottom. I can dead stick a soft lure. I can't dead stick a crankbait or a jerkbait, right? They're going to just float back up to the top. So when the bite is tough, when the fish are not aggressive, I'd rather have a soft bait. Now, we covered a lot there, and I gave you 3 lure types that are available, hard and soft, and I gave you a bunch of scenarios on when to choose a hard lure versus when to choose a soft lure. The reality is, use them both. There's a time and a place for a soft bait, there's a time and a place for a hard bait, and they're both going to catch monster bass. I hope you enjoyed this episode of In the Shop. If you do me a favor, stop right now, stop what you're doing, hit that subscribe button right down there, become a subscriber. We're going to get you great educational content every single week. If you're already a subscriber to Mike Iaconelli Fishing on YouTube, do me a favor, tell your fishing friends, tell your fishing buddies, your club guys, tell them about my channel. We're going to get great information to them every week to help you become a better angler. Good luck, good fishing. Use a hard bait, use a soft bait. You're going to catch a lot of bass. Bye.